Hey y'all, it's Brandi, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Brand New Bold. This is actually episode 8 of season 2. So I'm actually super excited about today's episode because I get to interview one of my dear friends, and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is food. So especially right now, we're in the middle of the holiday season, and I was like, what not a better time than now to talk about it. I know I tend to eat a lot during the holidays. So I was like, if I could learn a little some in the meantime, that would be great. But I'd like to officially welcome my friend Hannah Pleasant, affectionately known
Hello.
as Chef HP, to the
Yes.
show. Hey, Hannah.
Yes. Hello. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Awesome. Good. Good. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
This is new, so
Of
exciting though.
course. So we're going to jump right into it. So tell the listeners, who is Hannah Pleasant?
I am, an art school graduate. I went to the Savannah College of Art and Design, so I've always been pretty creative. And I studied footwear design. I was working in the industry for 3 years. And then, COVID came and snatched that right away. But it was really okay. I really see it as like an opportunity for something new. And so I've always loved to cook. Baking became like a new thing within like the last couple of years, but I think it's like really stole my heart. But cooking has always been like a passion of mine. My family, like we're all really big foodies. So I think it's just something that I'm tapping into, and it's just been there all along. So yeah, that's kind of pleasant, I guess.
I love it. I love it. So I have known you for, I don't know how many years now, since high school, 10th, 11th grade, one of the
10,
two.
10, 10, 11 years now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But ever since I've known you, I've known that you are nice in the kitchen. So like, how did you, how did you first get into cooking?
It was funny because like when I was younger, I had an easy bake oven, and I loved my easy bake oven. And I remember like clear as day, it broke. And I was like really distraught. Like I was like 8 years old, and I was like, Mom, like my easy bake oven broke. And she looked at me, she's like, you can use the real oven and the real stove. And I was like, oh, really? Like I can start cooking like for real. And she's like, yeah. And so I started like making eggs like every day. Like that was my thing. Like I made eggs. And then I just graduated and just started making like pasta. I remember we were trying to get one of my teachers to eat healthier. And so me and one of my friends at the time, like we literally made her pasta. And I remember I had made like a red sauce pasta, and I added like just like a splash of cream. I've always just been like
This is at 8?
experimenting.
This is
This
at
is
8
at
years
eight.
old? Oh
Yes,
my
yes.
God.
Just like whipping it up. And so that's really when I started, when I was like 8. And I've never really had like any kind of formal practice or whatever. Like, I'd watch my mom a little bit, help here and there. But yeah, like it started pretty young, and then just really being very experimental from there. But my mom also watched a lot of cooking shows like
Okay.
Emerald, Ina Garden, Barefoot Contessa. And
Mm-hmm.
so, Paula Dean, before she was racist. But
Right.
I would always watch, a lot of Food Network. Rachel Ray, I loved her as well. So I think that was always like entertaining for me, was to watch different Food Network stars as well. So
And that's so interesting to me that you say that you have had no formal training, because just some of the dishes that I've seen you make, like it looks like, you've been to culinary school. So I want to kind of backtrack a little bit here. So I know that you used to be a shoe designer for Vince Camuto, right? So kind of talk to the listeners about, what your experience was like in the fashion industry and how it led you to where you are today.
yeah, the fashion industry, it wasn't exactly what I had expected, but it really lended a lot of unique opportunities. I got to go to China quite a few times, and I went by myself, and just dealt with different language barriers and stuff like that. And it was a unique experience because I feel like, I don't know, each company is kind of different, but I feel like where I was at, it definitely wasn't your typical cutthroat company. I know sometimes fashion can get like a bad reputation for the work environment, but the work environment really was like, it was very family oriented and stuff like that. But honestly, like I was kind of wanting something new. I didn't really feel like I was growing. And, manager wise, my managers were okay, but they weren't
Mhm.
really anyone that I was like looking up to, or I
Right.
felt like they could push me in a direction. And it's crazy because like I would always tell my coworkers and even my manager once, I was like, honestly, like I feel like once I'm done with footwear, like I'm retired. I was like, I
Mhm.
think like I want to do something with food, like I want to go into culinary, but I didn't think that would mean, oh, you're gonna lose your job
Mm.
and then you're gonna tap into it. But I think fashion, I mean, it's still creative in a sense. Food is like, it can be like art to me. And so I feel like I'm very wired in a creative way. So for me,
Mhm.
doing something where I'm able to like still express my creativity is just very much up my alley. So
Yeah.
I think I'm definitely done with fashion, especially in the corporate sense. Maybe someday I'll come back to it. I don't really know. But
Mhm.
for now, food is more so my focus. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
and I think you brought up a good point because a lot of times in order to gain something, you have to lose something, right? You have to kind of
Absolutely.
push yourself to move away from something so that you can, open the next door. So I just want to
Hmm.
segue into that because, honestly, one of the highlights of my 2020 was seeing you launch your food blog because,
Highlight
like I
away.
said, you've been chefing for a long time. And, I just truly admire and commend you for just stepping out on a limb to do something that you love, to follow your passion. So tell the listeners a little bit about your blog.
Thank you. Yes, it definitely is. It takes a lot to step out of your comfort zone. And so I really kind of started this. The idea kind of came upon like during quarantine. I was cooking up quite a bit. I was back home here in Kansas, and I never really like cooked when I was in New York because my apartment was so tiny.
Mm-hmm.
But I never wrote down anything that I would make. So
Mm.
people sometimes would like ask me like, "Oh, Hannah, like how'd you make that?" And I'm like, I can't tell you because I didn't write down measurements. Like it's just when I cook, it's just like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like that's just natural to me. It's weird to have to like measure. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the idea kind of came about because people were kind of like asking like, well, how do you do this? And I was like, well, maybe I should start getting a little bit more serious about it and start writing down what I'm making. The ingredients, the measurements, so that way people would be able to replicate it. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's really kind of where the itching sort of came from, was like, okay, people are asking about it, maybe it's time to share how to go about it. And so it's definitely been a transition because, and I'm still trying to navigate how to be able to give people a recipe where it
Mm-hmm.
tastes similar to how I would have made it, because again, like, to me it's unnatural to measure, but I
Right.
know some people that do not know how to cook, they won't understand that. So
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure that out is kind of like my challenge right now. But just launching initially was just like I had anxiety. My first post, I was like, oh my
Oh, it
gosh,
was so good though.
like
It was
because
so good.
I'm so hard on myself. So I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, like I get nervous every time I post. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, like, I think your blog looks so professional for it to be so new, like for this to be a new thing for you. Like the pictures are very crisp and professional. The layout is great. And, you also have a variety of dishes on there. And, including like some of the stories you've posted have been for people who might have, food concerns like vegan or, gluten allergies, things like that. So, what would you say are your like specialties or go-tos or anything like that for maybe like the holidays, maybe a regular weeknight, or for people who might have a more strict diet?
Um, hmm. Well, that's a tough one. I think I'm gonna say weeknight wise, something that I do here at home a lot. We do a lot of chicken just because my mom, she's allergic to seafood and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of chicken thighs, chicken breasts, and I really like trying meatless dishes. I'm
Okay.
not vegan necessarily. To me, I tried going vegan. It was just too many carbs for me personally. But I don't do dairy like cheese and like milk and stuff like that. So I always try to incorporate some sort of like meatless dish during the week. And so I feel like that is something that I know a lot of people, even if they're not vegan, a lot of people are trying more meatless dishes. And so, you know, it's kind of nice to just like lighten up the palate every now and then. And then I'd say holiday wise, Christmas brunch is like essential, you
Yes,
know? And I've
I
been testing
agree.
out some brunch stuff over this week. I mean, I had to stop my dad, like, listen, dad, like others haven't ate anything yet. So you need to
Loose,
get your
step back.
portion.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like other people need to eat, you know? But so I have some exciting stuff that I definitely want to share for that, because I feel like brunch is like, I
It's
mean,
an essential,
oh my
for
goodness, you
sure.
gotta have it. And I love it because it can be anywhere from like super savory to, you know,
Hmm.
something sweet like dessert. So like brunch is like, that's like my favorite. My
Yeah,
favorite thing to make is brunch by far.
yeah,
So
for sure, for sure. So I want to go back because you didn't tell the listeners the name of your food blog.
no, they don't know the name. I'm not saying that.
No.
I thought they knew the name. So the name of my blog, I don't know why I thought you had said it.
I
The
low-key
name
thought
of
I
my
did
blog,
too, but go
I
ahead.
thought you did. It's okay. It's okay. The name of my blog is Bougie Cook, and it's bougie with a J. And the name, because I don't want people to think it's like, oh, this pretentious little brand. Like it's not like that at all. The name really came because like playfully on Instagram when I would be cooking, I would call myself Bougie Crocker when I was baking, and then Chef
I
HP
remember.
when I would cook. Like I had like this alter ego or whatever.
Hmm.
And so then I was like, oh, well, I'll just combine them because I'm not like officially a chef. So I was like, well, I
Hmm.
cook. And really, Bougie Cook is really just about like, I'm all about quality. I like nice things. You know, I
Hmm.
want to eat well. You know, I don't want to put junk in my body, you know, like I
Right.
want to take care of it. And I think, you know, quality ingredients, quality food, eating more whole foods is like really important. So Bougie Cook is really just like elevating the palate, you know, elevating home cooking, using fresh herbs, you know, different spices that maybe you didn't even think like, oh, like that pairs with that. So that's really what Bougie Cook is about. So I'm a very down to earth person. I am a little
You're
bougie,
a little,
but it's
I was about
just,
to say, you're a little
you know I
bougie.
am, but it's just I like nice things.
Right.
That's all it is, you know.
Right.
And I'm gonna do it from what I consume, you know, literally, you know, to what
Hmm.
I wear, you know, etc.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
so.
Right. So, one thing I want to ask you is what's something that cooking or baking or food has taught you about yourself or life as a whole in general?
Tell me about my life. I think cooking and baking has been something that has come easy for me, whereas anything else that I've done, I've had to work a little bit harder at. I was just thinking recently about, so I was taking these classes in digital media, dropped them, but that's okay. And
You
the
got to
one of the
figure out.
career, yes, exactly, you got to figure it out. And so one of the career counselors, we would take like these different tests to figure out like your strengths and stuff like that. And like she kept talking about how like, you know, oftentimes people don't focus on playing up to their strengths, but they always focus on like what their weaknesses are and what they need to improve. And I just had to reflect back, and I think about like when I was working in footwear design, and I always focused on what I needed to get better at. I never focused on like what I was good at and then just, you know, honing in on that. Of course, there's
Mhm.
always room for improvement, you know,
Right.
regardless of your strengths and whatnot. But that's what it really showed me is like, wow, like it's time to play up your strengths. Cooking, baking, like these are your strengths. It's time to tap into it. And so I think um, that's what I've learned so far about myself.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that because I feel like, especially us as millennials, we're so hard on ourselves because it's like, well, we're this old and people way younger than us have already done X, Y, and Z, or this thing already exists, or people are already doing this. There's not enough space for me. And I'm just really just so excited that you didn't have that mindset, like that you still went for it and that you're pushing yourself. So again, I just really commend you.
I appreciate it. It's a process. I mean, I'm the kind of person who I am very hard on myself, but also like because I'm all about that quality, I'm over here doing the most to an extent. I
Hmm.
mean, it looks good, but it's like I mean, it's been a lot of learning curves because I've never done this before. So it's just a lot of trial and error and figuring it out along the way. So it's a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick it out. I'm gonna stick with it.
Good. So this is my last question before we wrap up. But, one of the greatest things about food, in my opinion, is that, it tells a story. It can bring people together, and bring people together from different backgrounds and different cultures and, just creating a sense of fellowship. So I say that to say, what story do you want your food to tell about you?
That's deep, Brandi. I think story to tell about me. I guess that food, even if it's healthy, it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be bland. You can look forward to your meal without the guilt, without the shame, like truly enjoy yourself. And I think that's like really important because especially now during the holidays, like of course we all gonna get it together come January, but enjoy yourself. 2020 has also been it's been quite the year. So,
Yeah.
Just if you get the chance to be around family or friends, etc., like just enjoy one another and indulge. Nothing wrong with it.
At
Nothing wrong with it at
all. There's
all.
nothing
Okay.
wrong with it.
Okay. If it's your last meal, make it count. Okay.
Last meal before the diet.
All right. Make it count all the way. All the way.
Well, I love it, Hannah. I definitely will be trying out some of those recipes on Bougie Cook's food blog. So, I just sincerely wish you the best as you embark on this new culinary journey. So can you tell everyone where they can follow along with you and your food journey?
Yes. So right now, the website is under construction. It's going to be launching soon. But for now, you can check me out on Instagram and YouTube. It's Bougie Cook, just Bougie Cook, BOUJIECOOK. And I do have a TikTok, but you know what? We still learning. But for now, the YouTube and the Instagram, that's where you can find me for sure.
Okay, perfect. Well, y'all know I don't play about my food, so I'm definitely going to try out these recipes. I was definitely one of the people that was like, Hannah, what is the measurement? So I feel like that was low key like a shot at me, but it's fine.
It wasn't.
But that is it for us, guys. Sending you love and a sprinkle of bold. Until next time, bye.